Hi everyone, at the end of this video we'll have full controller support. So change our resolution, let's make it windowed, there we go. Audio, I've muted everything, let's unmute. I'm just going to mute that, unmute. Controls, X. So as you can see we have full controller support for everything. Okay, thanks everyone. Let's get started. So first what we're going to do is first you want to import all of the assets. So I'm just going to minimize here. As you can see here, these are the assets that you downloaded. So in the images, controls, and then you can choose any of them. You'll see there are all the different controller images that we're going to use. Specifically, we are going to use the Xbox One images. So we're just going to copy that over. We don't need the rest, so that's why we're not going to copy them over. I've already copied it over, so in assets, just create a new folder called images, then create a new folder called controls, and then just copy Xbox One. If you want all of them, you can just copy the folder as it is, but if you don't, then just copy it, Xbox One. Excuse me. Okay, so now that we've already imported our assets and everything, we're going to go into our globals option script. And now what we want to do here is we actually want to add a few new variables and then we'll carry on from there. So the first variable we're going to add, well first we're going to change SPUs to key, and the reason we're changing it to key is because we're going to differentiate. These will be our keyboard controls, and then we're going to have new variables for our controller controls. That's why we have the two different ones. Okay. So first, in our temporary, we're going to add two new variables. It's going to be var con use image. Need to spell, and next is var con pause image. Okay, so the reason these we don't need to put anything, we don't need to set them as anything because we're actually going to load the images we've just imported. That's why we can just leave them blank like this. And then the next thing is, as well, remember these are under the temporary because we don't need to save these variables. We only need to save the variables we're about to create now. So what we're going to do is just press enter under your saved, because we just want one space between for our control variables. So it's going to be var con use equals 0. And the reason why I've got it as 0 is because, let me just open up my scan codes. In the scan codes, here is all of our different scan codes that we're going to use, and then A, which is face 1, is 0. That's why I'm using 0. Next, underneath con use is going to be var con use pad, and that equals true. So the reason why we're telling it that we are using a pad, I'm just using pad instead of button, but if you want to, you can type in button, is because if you look here at our left analog and our right analog, our left analog vertical axis is 0, which is the same as our face 1. Our horizontal left analog is 1, which is the same as our face 2. So if we don't tell it that no, we are using the button or we aren't using the button, it will get confused and it will let you do the same thing with either or. That's the only reason why we're doing that. And then next is var con use axis, and we're just going to make it 0. So the axis is just there so that when you are using the analog stick, let's say if you're using the left horizontal analog stick, if you want to go left it will be -1, and if you want to go right it will be 1. So that's why we just need that. So we're just going to copy this and then we're going to paste it, and we're going to change use to pause. That pause, and that's that for now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a new variable. So just scroll to the bottom, and I mean not a new variable, our new function. So func controller, just going to say pass for now. So this function is actually just going to check if the images, whatever controller image we're using. So what we're going to just do is we're just going to say if con use pad equals true. I'm just going to say pass, and then I'm going to say LF con use pad equals false, and another pass. Just give me a second, I need to cough quick. Sorry about that. Okay, so now in our if statement of if our con use pad equals true, actually I do want a pass there, but I'll do it now. We're going to use a match statement, so we're going to say match con use, and just that, and then 0. I'm just going to pass. Why is it complaining? Okay, there we go. And now in our 0, we're just going to make a con use image equals load, and then it's going to be res assets Xbox One X, just like that. So now what we need to do, what's going on? We just need to copy this, paste, and now we need to go all the way up until 15, because in our scan codes the highest number is 15, as you can see there. So just want to press end. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so let's get started. 2, no, that's not what I want. 3, 4, 5, really, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so now what we're going to do is our con use image 0 is A, because that's our face 1. Our face 2 is 1, so that one's going to become B. Our face 1 is B. No, yes. Face 2 is 1. Face 3 is 2. So face 3 is, give me a second. Face 4 is 2. That means that your X, and then face 3 is Y. Okay, so there's your first 4. That's your A, B, X, and Y buttons. Next, our number 4 will be, a second, is our left button. Is LB. That means number 5 is RB. Then our 6 is LT. 7 is RT. 8 is our left stick. Left stick, just like that. Right is our right stick. Then 10 is back. But instead of we don't have back because we're using Xbox One. We're using Xbox One buttons. So instead of back, we have menu. And instead of start, we have Windows. So 10 is back, so we're going to type in menu. And instead of start, which is 11, we have Windows. And then the last 4 are D-pads. D-pad. Just going to copy this. Paste this everywhere. So then 12 is D-pad up, 13 is D-pad down, 14 is D-pad left, and 15 is D-pad right. Okay, now we're just going to copy these. So we're going to copy our first 4 matches in our con use, and we're just going to paste them underneath there where we set it to false. Yeah, there. And just press like that. Oh, wait. I forgot to put in my match, sorry. So it's going to be match con use. Give it a second. Should go there. Oh, well, I'll just delete it for now. Okay, and then all that we're going to do is our match in our con use pad 0. So when we match, our 0 will be, if you look here, in our analogs. So in our vertical axis for our left analog is 0. our horizontal axis for our left analog is 1. So the first two is going to be left stick, and the second two is going to be right stick. So I'm actually just going to, I'll just retype it. Left stick, copy that, paste that, paste that, paste that, and in here I'll just type right stick, copy that, paste over there. Okay, so now what we need to do is we actually need to copy this and paste it. So just copy all of that, and then there, paste it. Because the reason why we're doing that, I'm just going to minimize this so we can see what's going on. The reason why we're doing this is because now we need to do it the same for our pause. So const pause, pause, pause. Okay, so let's copy it. Let's replace our con use image. Just remember, I need to do it under your con pause pad and not under your con use pad. Copy, con use. Okay, so now that we have our controller done, what we're going to do is I just want to put my pass here. Okay, there we go. So that means right now, give me a second, we need to also do our saving and loading. But before that, here in our function resolution, I just want to copy this, copy our if full screen equals true, and then our else if full screen equals false. I just want to paste it here. The reason why we have this twice is because even though if you don't change whether or not it's full screen or windowed, and you change your resolution, sometimes it doesn't resize. It resizes, but well, it doesn't resize when it's supposed to. That's the only reason why we're doing it twice. Okay, next is, I'm just minimizing these. Next is our save game. So in our save game, we're going to rename SPUs to key use. So just rename all your SP to key, and then quickly do that in our load game. Just like that. Then the next thing we need to do is we need to add in our 6 new variables that we save. Where are they? Remember, it's these 6. Just need to add them in. So I'm just going to scroll down to save. So it's going to be comma, con use equals con use, comma, con use pad equals con use pad, comma, con use access equals con use access, comma, con pause equals con pause, con pause pad equals con pause pad, and lastly con pause access equals con pause access. Then we're going to copy these, and then we're just going to paste it here. Now remember, we just need to take it down 1 index because of the fact that otherwise it will think it's a new not index, indent, because otherwise it won't work properly. And then let's just copy data key pause, and let's replace all of our right hand text with it. Too much right hand text. Just like that. And then we just need to replace key pause with whatever's on the left hand side. Copy, paste, 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 paste. Okay, now what you need to do is just minimize, and then our settings.json, we just need to delete it. And the reason you need to delete it is because if you don't delete it, whenever you try load it, Godot will look for the SPUs and SP pause, which doesn't exist anymore, and it will give us an error. So that's why we have that. So now there's our options done. That's all of our different options. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to open up our scene, our option scene, because that's where we're going to work in the rest of the time. Okay, I just want to close our global options. I don't want to accidentally work in there. And then I want to close our menu scene. So I'm just going to say close other tabs so I don't accidentally work anywhere else. F1. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hide our audio control and we're going to show our controls control. Now we need to create a new control node in our control node, in our controls control. Sounds really weird to say. So in the control, we're going to change our anchor and our margin. So our left anchor is going to stay 0, our top is going to become 0.1, our right is going to become 1, bottom is going to also be 1. Then our margins is all going to be 0. And now what you need to do is you need to select button use, label use, button pause and label pause, and then just hold down left click and drag them into control, because of and we need to rename control to keyboard. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our keyboard here, and if you want to change your keyboard settings, it will be visible. And if you want to change your controller input, then we'll have another one called controller, and we'll be able to work with that. So now what we need to do, just left click on control, and then we're going to press Control A, and type in button, because we need to add in 2 new buttons. So just scroll down to rect. So let's change its position to 270, its X position to 270, its Y position is going to be 10, then its size is just going to be 150, its X size is 150, its Y size is still 20. Let's duplicate the button, and then for button 2, let's change its X position to 540 and leave the rest as it is. Now let's rename these buttons and add the text in. So just scroll up until you see text. So for button 2, its text is going to be controller, and its name is going to be BTN controller, and then button, we're going to rename it to BTN keyboard, and its text will be keyboard. Just like that. So just select both button keyboard and button controller, and then just drag it to up top. This just makes it easier to find in that. And then our keyboard control node we're going to duplicate, and we're going to rename to controller. Let's hide our keyboard control node. Then let's make everything visible underneath our controller control node, and then let's delete our 2 labels. So just delete them. And now what we want to do is click on controller, press Control A, and then type in sprite. So in our sprite, we want to scroll down until you find transform, and then its position is going to be 264 for its X position, and its Y position will be 17. Can we make it 254 actually? I think we can make it, yeah, 240 is fine. And then its scale, its X scale is going to be 0.4 and its Y scale is going to be 0.4. The reason why we change the scale to 0.4 is, let me quickly add an image to it and I'll show you. So let's just give it A. So as you can see now, it looks fits quite nicely, whereas if we make the scale 1 and 1, it overlaps. That's the only reason why we have 0.4 for both. Okay, let's duplicate this sprite. I'm just going to put in menu. Just going to change this sprite texture to menu, and then we're just going to change its Y position to 70, just like that. 65, yeah, 65 is fine. Okay, so now that we have these two, let's rename our sprites. So sprite is going to become SPR use, and sprite 2 is going to become SPR pause. And let's just move sprite use underneath button use. Okay, so now that we have that, all we need to do is now we're going to focus on our script, because our script will have pretty much everything else that we need. So let's go into our script. Where am I? In our script, first we're going to add a few new variables. So underneath our can select and our select timer, press enter twice, and we're going to add a new variable called master selected equals false. Let's copy the, wait, that S is capital, mustn't be. Let's copy this, paste it twice. The second master needs to become music. And then the third master needs to become effects, just like that. Okay, so the reason why we have these three variables is because I'll show you in our video, no, wrong video, in our audio. What's going to happen is after you in order to change your volumes, you have to actually physically click on it click accept with your controller, and then you can change your volumes. That's why we have the master, music, and effects selected. Next, underneath these, press enter twice. We're going to put in 4 new variables. Our first one will be var res ID. After that, it'll be var resolution, and that equals false. Next will be var full ID. Underneath that will be var full screen equals false. Save that. In our F1, well, in our 2D layout, the reason why we're adding those 4 variables is because now that will actually work with these option buttons, because the option buttons don't work with the controller natively. We have to put in this whole code ourselves. So F3, then I don't think there's any new variables we need. No, there isn't. So now what we're going, I just want to minimize all of our functions, because it's quite a lot of functions we're going to work in. So the reason I'm just minimizing everything is so I don't get confused. Minimize. Okay, so we're first going to work in ready. So in ready, we're going to go, you see here where we've got our controls button use and our controls button pause. Firstly, what we need to do is we actually need to put in keyboard like that, and then copy it, paste it there. So the reason why we're adding in the keyboard is because in our controls, remember we've added the new control node called keyboard. This tells it where it needs to work, or else we won't be able to work with it. So just scroll down, and then let's just quickly add that everywhere else. It's in process as well. So in our process of our controls, if it's visible or not, just paste it there, paste it there, paste it there. And before we carry on with anything else, copy this if statement, because we're not going to leave it in the process for now, and we're going to create a whole new function for it, because if we leave it in the process, if you have lots of controls and that, it might slow down certain computers. So just scroll down to the bottom, and our new function, we're going to call it func controller text. I'm going to paste that, pass, just like that. And then all that will happen is that, minimize that, at the bottom of our ready, we'll call controller text. And then also in our input, but we'll quickly add it. So here in our input, when we change, when we change our key, we're going to call controller text. Sorry about that, slight hiccups. Okay, just like that. Minimize our input function. So that's all we need there. Now in our ready, let's carry on with everything. So first things first, press enter, enter. And before we connect anything, we're going to declare our res ID and our full ID. So res ID equals button full screen. Oh wait, resolution, sorry. Button resolution dot get selected ID. Then next is full ID equals control, control. Why am I typing control? I just need button full screen because that will take me to everything I need. Get selected ID, just like that. So now that we've declared these two variables, what we're going to do is, let's actually do this. Cut that, put it above our res ID, and then our full screen, cut it and also put it above our res ID. So the reason why I decided to cut our resolution add item and our full screen add items and put it before our res ID and full ID is just because I don't want Godot to create any errors, because maybe it will ask what is this, because it will complain that our IDs haven't been created yet because we're only adding them afterwards. So that's the only reason why I'm doing that. So next what we're going to do is let's connect all of our new buttons. So I'm just going to press enter twice here because I want to add the button keyboard and button control before I add these two. So, well, before I connect these two. So button keyboard dot connect pressed self. Let's call the new variable, the new function keyboard. And then button controller dot connect pressed self controller. Let's quickly create these two new functions. We'll get back to them now. Let's just have them created. So scroll to the bottom and then just create your keyboard function and func controller. So now I've got them created. I'm going to scroll back up. Okay, so now I've got these two. What I'm going to do is I've got them. Now we need to add the two. We need to add our button use and our button pause. We need to connect them. So button use controls, controller button use. Actually, I can just copy these because we're going to use the exact same function. So we don't actually need to do anything except just change keyboard to controller, just like that. Because what we wanted to do is, if it's a controller or it's a keyboard, we just wanted to do the same thing. So now we've got that, we need to add two new variables. We need to connect two extra buttons, and the buttons we're going to connect is our two option buttons. So when we press them, they will run this code. Because if we don't, then we won't be able to change with our controller. So it's button full screen dot connect. Need to spell pressed self, and then we'll call this one res pressed. We're working with full screen, so it's full pressed. And then above it, we just want button resolution dot connect pressed self, and we'll call this one res pressed. Okay, so let's quickly add our new code that our new functions we're going to put in here. We're going to create res press function, full press function, and we're going to create another function called res change and full change. So scroll to the bottom. Here it will be func res pressed pass func res change pass func full pressed pass, and lastly full change pass, just like that. Okay, so give me a second. I think that's everything that we need there. Yes, that's correct, that's correct. That's fine. Select 0, select 1, select 0, select 1. Then one last thing that we need to do, we're actually going to put it in all of our scripts for one particular button, where we're going to say button video dot grab focus. So the reason why we're grabbing the focus, I'll actually press F6. What was wrong? Oh, I didn't put in two L's. F6. Okay, I just want to delete this. Okay, so the grab focus, as you can see there, it's got the blue line around it that shows that it's being focused. That means that when you are moving with your controller, you can actually change like that, and then you will be able to select new buttons and everything like that. So that's why we're grabbing the focus. So as soon as you go into a room, it will immediately have something selected so you can work with your controller. You don't need a mouse or keyboard. So there's that. We've grabbed our focus. I don't think there's anything else we need to do just yet. No, there isn't. So I'm going to minimize our function ready. Now we're going to work in our process function. So in our process function, the first thing we're going to do is under our can select, we're going to type in if full screen equals false. Then it's going to be like this, and then we're going to say button full screen dot disabled equals false. I'm going to explain what this is now. I just quickly want to do this, and then if resolution equals false, then button resolution dot disabled equals false. Okay, so the reason we're putting this in is because of the fact that when we are working with our controller, because we're busy pressing the button, what will happen is if we don't disable the button, after you select your new option, it will automatically try and tell you to select another option. But if you disable if you disable your option, then it won't do that. So it's the same thing that we did when we put in our key, where we disabled everything. That's why we have it like that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to set up, remember I said if our slider is selected or not, that's what we're going to set up now. So we're going to say if slider master dot has focus, then if input dot is action just pressed UI accept. Okay, so we're just going to use the default action. I forgot to put in my second bracket. Just going to use the default actions for now, because of the fact that if it's a main menu, you normally just have default actions that aren't changeable. So that's why we're just going to do that. Then we're just going to say if master selected equals false, then master selected equals true. Just going to copy this, type in L, so it's an LF, and we're just going to swap it the other way around. And then before we carry on, we just need to go into our project settings. So project settings, input map, and then just scroll down until you see your UI left, UI right, UI up, and UI down. So we're going to add a new joy access. So for UI down, you just need to find left stick down, add. For your UI up, you need to add a joy access, left stick up. In our UI right, joy access, left stick right, and then our UI left, joy access. It's set to left stick left, so you can just say add. Okay, so now we can close that. Just going to minimize my output so I get some extra space. So now we've got that in our slider master has focus. So if you press accept, that's what will happen. Next, you just say if master selected equals true. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to set up that. Let me just keep my pass. So now if our master selected equals true, now you can actually change your volume, or you can actually change your volume, sorry. So all that we're just going to do now, so if it's true, we're just going to say if input dot is action pressed, UI, where's my UI left, UI left, then it's going to be slider master dot set value, and it's going to be, in our set value, we're going to first get our slider master, where's my G, get our slider master value, and then because we're going left, we're going to minus by 20. So 20 is just 1%, so that's what we're doing. So now we're going to copy this. Oh wait, but before we do that, we're also just going to say master volume. We're going to call our master volume, and then it's just going to be slider master dot get value, just like that. Close my bracket. So after we change our volume, we're going to call our master volume so it actually changes the volume properly. So now we're going to copy this, and we're going to paste, and we're going to change UI left to UI right. And then instead of minus 20, it's just going to be plus 20. Just like that. So there's our left and our right done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to say LF master selected equals false. Then our slider master, we're going to, I forgot to put my dot, release focus, so it's not going to be focused anymore, and our button master mute will grab the focus, and that means it will select the grab, it will select master mute instead of trying to change the value. So now after that, what we're going to do is we're actually just going to copy and paste this. So, nope, copy that, paste that. I'm just going to minimize both if statements, well, all three if statements, so I don't get confused, because I'm already starting to get slightly confused. The second if statement, instead of it being slider master, it's going to become slider music. Just rename all of our slider master to slider music. So in this if statement, it's going to become slider music, slider music, slider music, slider music. And then also remember, our button master mute needs to become button music mute. And I realize I changed the wrong slider music here, because this is going to become slider effects, but it's fine. So now what we're going to do, our master selected will become music selected. Copy, paste, paste. Okay, let's have a quick look, make sure everything's right. Music, music, music. Yes, that's all correct. So minimize that. So in our slider effects, it's going to be the same thing. Let's just rename slider effects from slider master. Effects, effects. Last one, and this button master mute needs to become button effects mute, and master selected needs to become effects selected. So there you go, that's set now for all of our sliders. Now we just need two more if statements. So our first if statement will be if resolution equals true. Then we're going to work with our res change function, and then we're just going to do the same for full screen. If full screen, I didn't spell it right, full screen equals true, it's going to be full change. So there we go, that's everything we need for our process function, so I'm going to minimize that. Now we're going to work in our input function. So our input function is going to have quite a lot in it, so we're going to copy this, and now we're going to paste this here. Just enter, paste that there. Minimize all our if event is input event key. So the first if event equals event input key, that's fine. Our second one needs to become event joypad motion, and our last one needs to become our second one needs to become joypad button, and our last one needs to become joypad motion. Just quickly, I want to see something. Yeah, that's all fine. So we're working in our event joypad motion. So in our event joypad motion, in our event key, so we're not working with joypad pad button, our SPUs needs to become key, and our SP pause needs to become key pause. Because remember, we've changed SP to key. So now you can minimize the event key, event joypad button, not motion like I carry on saying for some reason by accident. What we're going to do, if under our if statement of SP pause equals true, it's just going to be options dot con use, not two C's, con use pad equals true. Our SPUs here needs to just become con use, and then our event.scan code needs to become dot get button index, just like that. SP pause, SPUs there is fine, select time is fine, that's fine. And one last thing, we need to type in options controller, because now we actually need to set so let's actually put that before our controller text. So now what we're doing here is we're first finding out what image it is, and then it's going to show the image. I think that's everything we need there. It is. So if SP pause equals true, it's going to be options dot con pause pad equals true. SP pause needs to become con, and then this scan code needs to become get button index. Before our controller text needs to become options controller. The rest of that is fine. So minimize that. Now in our event pad joypad, all that we're going to do here, under SPUs is going to become options con use pad equals false. Our SP pause needs to become con use access, and our event scan code needs to become get access index value. No, get access, just get access. Then before our controller text, we need options dot controller. That's all we need there. And then for SP pause, it's going to be options dot con pause pad equals false. Con pause access equals get access. Okay, so that's that. And then here we need options dot controller. Then all of that's fine. So there's our input done. No, there's not our input done. Our input still needs a bit more, but it needs it in our not event key. It needs it in our joypad. So before all of this, press enter, enter. We're actually going to be working with a bit more code. I just want it beforehand, because if you had to put it after your current controls, when you add in new controls, it would be put in the middle, and you might get confused. So we're going to have if input dot is action just pressed UI accept. Now if full screen equals true and can select equals true. Okay, there we go. Next, what we're going to do is it's going to be button full screen dot select, and then it's going to be our full ID, and then we're going to call our full screen function. It's going to be called full ID. Next, what we're going to do is our full screen will equal false. Can select will equal false. And then our select timer will equal 5, and then next our button full screen dot get pop-up, we will hide it. Okay, I'm just going to press F6, shouldn't have any issues. The pop-up is this, where we show all of our different items. That's the pop-up. The reason why we're adding it in is because when you select with a controller, it doesn't automatically hide whatever your pop-up is. So that's why we have to add that in. Okay, and then after all of that, that's fine. We're going to copy this, paste it. We're going to paste it here. We're going to change full screen to resolution. And then button full screen needs to become button resolution. Full ID needs to become res ID. Res. Copy that. Full screen. Our full screen function needs to become our resolution function. And lastly, this full screen needs to become resolution. So there's everything we need for when we accept. So now we're going to do another one. Just going to minimize that. If input dot is action just pressed, UI cancel, close like that. Then what all that's going to happen, if full screen equals true, we're going to have full screen equals false, can select equals false, select timer equals 5, and we're just going to copy this, and we're going to replace full screen with resolution. Whoa. Just like that. So there we go, that's everything we need for our input function now. So now that we have that done, I'm just going to minimize this. We are actually going to work with, give me a moment, our keyboard and controller. So keyboard is going to become, we're going to show, give me a second, when we click on keyboard, we're going to show our keyboard node and we're going to hide our controller node. We've done it in the past before, so now it's just going to become, let me just call it controls keyboard dot show and controls controller dot hide, just like that. Copy that, paste that, and then change keyboard for show to hide, and controller from hide to show. And we're also going to just say options dot controller. The reason why we're just doing that is because we're just having it as a safety measure. That's all. So that's done. Next, we are going to actually work with our resolution and our full screen. So in our resolution, what we're going to do is we're going to set our res ID and we're going to set our full ID. So that means in our ready where we set it, we can just copy that, scroll back down to resolution, paste it there, and paste it under full screen, because we literally just need that there. And then all we're going to do is we're just going to say, wait, are we in resolution? Yes, in our resolution, we're just going to say, if our button, I forgot my $, button resolution dot disabled equals true, then our button resolution dot disabled equals false. That's all we're doing there, and then we're just going to do the exact same for our full screen. So there, if button full screen dot disabled equals true, then button full screen dot disabled equals false. So we've got that, don't need any of that. So now what we're going to do is we're actually just going to work on our res sorry, raise pressed, not pause. Have we done this? Yes, we have. Raise press, raise change, full press, and full change. Then we're pretty much done. Okay, so now what we're going to do, in our raise press, if resolution equals false, then our resolution will equal true. Before we have that, it's if can select equals true, then our resolution will equal true, our can select will equal false, our select timer will equal 5, and then our if, then we'll just say if our button resolution dot disabled equals false, then our button resolution dot disabled will equal true. So now what we're just going to say is, now that we've got all of this, I'm actually just going to copy this, type in out, paste this. So let's swap resolution to true. So if our resolution equals true, we're going to set our resolution to equal false. Don't need the rest. Yeah, the rest is fine. We can copy all of this, paste it under full press, and then just change it to full screen. Copy, paste, paste, paste. And then our button resolution, we just need to change to full screen. Replace, replace, replace. We can minimize our two functions press. So now we're going to work with our raise change and our full change. So in our raise change, we're going to say if input dot is action pressed UI down, then it's going to be res ID plus equals 1, and then if our res ID is larger than 1, our res ID will equal 0. And I just want to change the is action pressed to is action just pressed. Just pressed. Any? Just pressed. Okay. So what we're doing here is when you press down, it will add 1 to the resolution ID, meaning it will scroll down. And if the resolution ID is larger than 1, it will immediately set it to 0. So that's that. Now all we're just going to do is, actually I'm just going to, no, I won't copy this. LF input dot is action just pressed UI up. That. Then it's going to be res ID minus equal 1. Then if our res ID is less than 0, then our res ID will equal 1. Okay, so now if our res ID is less than 0, it will go back to 1. So if you add more resolutions, you'll just have to come and change that 1 to however many your resolutions you have, and the same there. That will, so let's say you put in 10 resolutions, you'll have it like that, 9, and then that will equal 9. But because we only have 2, it will just be like that. So I'm going to copy this, I'm going to place it under full change, and then res ID will become full ID. Copy that. Wait, before we can do this, we have a bit more work we need to do in our res change. So in our res change, we're going to say if res ID equals 0, then our button resolution dot get pop-up, so our pop-up now, and now we're going to set which item is checked. Set item checked, it's going to be 0, and then we're going to say it's true. Now we're going to copy this, paste this, so 1, and that will equal false. So remember as well, if you have let's say we'll go back to the. Let me first explain this, then I'll tell you what I wanted to say. So in our button resolution, we're setting 0 to equal true and 1 to equal false. So that means it knows that we need to select one. Well, the player will be able to see that 0 is what we have selected, what they have selected, and 1 is what they haven't. Remember, and what I wanted to say earlier, if you have this set to 9, you just have to copy and paste this. Control C, Control V, paste that. Okay, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll just work with 7. Copy, paste. I saw that. And then you'll just have to do it like that, and you'll have to manually do it for all 9. Delete. 1, 1. I will look for a better way to do it, and if I can find a better way, I'll actually I'll upload an updated version of this where it has the better version of how to do this. So in our elif statement, if our res ID equals 1, our 0 will equal false, not place, and our 1 will equal true. Just like that. So now we're going to delete all of that. Let's copy everything in our res change, paste it in our full change, and let's rename res ID to full ID. Okay, so now we're going to quickly do that. And our button resolution needs to become button full screen. Okay, give me a second. I think that's actually everything we need. Give me a moment. Let me just check. So let's press. Oh yes, before we press F5, let's just open up all of our different scripts. So we need our HUD, our main, our load, our save, and our single player. And the reason why we're doing this, actually we also need the scenes, because so in our single player script, so in our F1, we want our new game to be selected when we go into the scene. So it's going to be button new game dot grab focus. I can close single player. Just going to open up all of them like this. So in our HUD, we want resume to have our default grab. So just under there, we're going to say button resume dot grab focus. Close that. In our main, we want it to be single player. So button single player dot grab focus. In our load, we want it to be save 1. So at the bottom here, button save 1 dot grab focus. I'm actually just going to copy this because in our save we also want it to be save 1 to have our default. So let's press F5. Let me start up my controller. Here we go. As you can see, single player is selected. I can scroll down, single player, back, options. What was wrong with my options? Oh yes, I actually forgot about the controller text here. So in our controller text, our label use dot our options.spUse is now key use, and our sp pause is now key pause. And what we also need to do is we need to put in a new if statement. So if button controller dot is visible, then what's going to happen is we're going to have our sprite use dot get texture, and in our get texture we're going to have options dot con use image, just like that. And then we're also going to have our sprite pause dot get texture options dot con pause image. Let's see, F5. Let's try this again. This here, options. So in our video, let's change it to 800 by 600. Okay, I just need to see why I did that. See, now here's the problem that I was talking about earlier. It's automatically saying that it's trying to, when you press A, it's trying to change it again. It thinks you want to change that again. We'll have a look at that now. So, unmute it. I need to have a look why my right isn't working either. That doesn't want to change there. So we'll just have a quick look at those two issues. So our first issue, okay, let's close all of our other tabs so we just work in our options. So give me a second. Let's have a quick look here. UI accept, if true, then our full screen equals false. Yeah, that's all fine. Then, yeah, just give me a moment. I think it's actually in process. If master selected equals true, no. That's all of our master selected. Well, let's actually have a quick look at our master selected, see why that doesn't want to work. FFX, okay, so oh, I see what I did here. Okay, so the reason that's not working is because I just forgot to put in if action pressed, UI left underneath if ifx selected equals 0, and the reason for that is because of the fact that what it's doing now is as long as effects selected equals false, it won't let you choose it. So we just need to quickly put that in, and then music selected, and then master selected as well, just like that. And one other thing I just want to do as well, minimize all of this, open that, and then here you're just going to say LF. Let's just copy that, paste that there. So what we're saying here, I'll show you what we're doing here now. So now what's going to happen, I can minimize that. All we're telling it to do now is that if our slider master doesn't have focus, master selected equals false. So I'm actually just going to copy this, paste that there, paste that there, and change master to music, and here master needs to become music, and for our effects, so F5, okay, controller, audio, there as you can see. Okay, it's playing some music. Now I can minimize that. Now all we need to do is we just need to sort out our video. So I'm just going to make this windowed, and 800 by 600. Let's quickly sort out our video. So in our event, I think it's actually in here. Let me have a quick look. Might be in full screen. So let's quickly have a look in our full screen. I think we added that code in when it shouldn't be in. I just want to quickly test. There we go. So, windowed full screen, windowed, close that. So this code here is actually unnecessary. And then in our resolution, that code there mustn't be there. Okay, so as you can see, now we have full controller support with our menu. Thanks everyone.